my dad was military, World War II, he's a combat soldier, and he kind of raised me in that fashion that he always told me that a man should be able to do everything and not depend on anybody to take care of you. So I was brought up that way, and then when I went into high school, they had a program called ROTC, Reserve Officers Training Corps, and so I joined it, and to my surprise, I was real good. You know, I was always gung ho because of my dad, and I moved up through the ranks real quick in high school, and I was like the first freshman, sophomore to be invited to try out for the color guard, which at the time was the elite of the ROTC in high school, because we did all the big events, the assemblies and that, and so I knew that my manual of arms and that before I ever went into ROTC, just from my dad. And so I moved up the ranks, and I just, everything about the military interests me. And so before I knew it, I was a senior, and I was invited to go downtown. It was called, you try out for city staff, and if you make it, you'd be in charge of the 16 high schools in Chicago. And you would be on the upper staff that made decisions for all the high schools. So my commander in ROTC said, "Rudy, I think you'd be a good candidate." So I went down with my mother and that, and they asked a lot of questions, and some were from military, some were just social questions, how would you handle different situations. And I had been playing football also in high school, and the fact that I played ball and was in ROTC, because normally the students would take ROTC to get out of physical education. So I was involved in both of them. So I had the respect from the coaches and the athletes and the ROTC units. And they thought that was a big, strong combination for a leader to be involved in both athletics and ROTC. So I was selected to be in the city staff, and a lot of accolades came with that from the city of Chicago. And so they promoted me to major on city staff. And I ended up getting a saber and all that good stuff, a Sam Brown belt, the leather belt that you wore, and then the medals started coming in from different organizations and that, and I thought, like, yeah, I'm a big shot now. So after I graduated, I went to junior college, and my plans were to stay into junior college and work, build up some money, because I wanted a college education. And at that time, Vietnam was breaking out, and I go, "Dad, I might get drafted or something." He said, but you're in school. And I said, "Not a full-time student." He said, just study and don't worry about it. Well, Uncle Sam's letter came, greetings, and I said, "Dad, they want me to join the Army, I've been drafted." And he said, "Well, that's not the worst thing that could happen to you, you get in the Army for a couple of years, and then you go back to school, and the GI Bill, and they'll pay for it." I went, "Yeah, all right. 2 years, no big deal. I know the routine, the military routine. I was a field grade officer for, the high school and that. So I go, this should be fairly easy." So I went down to the induction center, and that's when the Marine Corps decided to have their first draft in history. They had never drafted anybody into the Marine Corps. It was all volunteer. But Vietnam was starting to get hot. And so it was very simple. Every other row, for like 4 rows, was picked. This row, this row, this row. Stand up. I stood up. I was in one of the rows. And they said, turn left and walk to room so-and-so. And as we were walking, they said, you have been drafted into the United States Marine Corps. I went like, whoa! And I go like, but wait a minute, you know, I was Army ROTC, my dad's Army, I came to be in the Army. They go, well, change your plan, you're in Marine Corps now. I went like, okay. So before I knew, we were on a plane to San Diego, MCRD, Marine Corps Recruiting Depot, and that's where boot camp was. And my dad had just told me, pay attention, do what you're told, don't be a wise ass, and you'll be fine. And basically, that's what I was teaching my cadets in high school and that. So when I went there and it actually happened, I saw the guys that had no military training, they were going like nuts. They didn't know what was happening. So I kind of knew and just sat there and did what I was told, when and where to go. And so I found that pretty easy. But then I woke up in boot camp and my whole world changed immediately. It was, you know, they didn't know me from Adam. They treated me like any other recruit, shaved my head, this and that. And the Marine Corps has a way they've been doing it for 1,000,000 years, and it still works. They basically break everybody down to a common denominator, and then they build you up their way. So I go, I'm good with this. And I had played football. And boot camp and Marine Corps basically is studying and physical training. That's mainly your boot camp experience. And that everyone that goes through Marine Corps boot camp is a fighting Marine. Everybody. I don't care what you're going to do in the future, but your basic instruction is infantry. Everybody has to shoot a certain score to qualify with a weapon. And so they have standards that are a little bit higher than the other military services. So if you want to go in and qualify with a weapon, a rifle, let's say if you go in, let's say you shoot 75, you qualify in the Army. But in the Marine Corps, you got to shoot 95, you know, so everything was a little higher. And I'm like, all right, you know, you got to work at it a little bit. So again, if you did 50 sit-ups to get by in the physical requirements, all of a sudden in the Marine Corps, you had to do 75. So everything was elevated. And I go like, good. You know, I'm in pretty good shape, but I was getting worried. So when the lights went out at night, a lot of the guys would do extra push-ups, pull-ups on the racks, everything just to make sure we're in shape, because they were testing you physically and mentally. We'd go to classrooms and they would start teaching you military strategies and stuff.